Okay kids, Scotty got here. I'm going to walk you through the MGWA. Along the way I'll show you some good do's and don'ts of writing. Let's take a walk. So kids, on the day of the MGWA, what do you think the first step is? Whatever you were thinking, you were probably wrong. The first step is to get a good night's sleep and eat a well-balanced breakfast. So after the prompt, what do you think your next step is? You said the next step was analyzing the prompt. You were correct. Here's what not to do when you receive your prompt for the MGWA.
Yes?
Can I go to the bathroom?
Sure.
I'm sorry, you okay? Here's an example of what to do. When you receive the prompt, it's go time. Carefully read through everything. Start by circling the type of paper, whether it's expository or persuasive. Remember, if it says expository, you explain. And if it says persuasive, you persuade or convince. Remember what your teacher says.
If the prompt's expository, E-X-P-L-A-I-N. If the prompt is persuasive, C-O-N-V-I-N-C-E.
Ha 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 ha! Good one, Miss Smitty. In addition, underline important words in the prompt that help you understand exactly what to write about. Look at this example. What did this model student do? Once you understand the prompt, the next step is to brainstorm ideas. Here's an example of what not to do.
Okay, so I'm supposed to brainstorm ideas, and that's not gonna happen. I just can't focus right now. Okay. I'm gonna make myself look like I'm focusing, but I'm really not. Now it's time to daydream. No, I really wish I had some of that fruit salad that my mom made last night. It looked really delicious. Oh, I'd love to eat some of that. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Oh my goodness, that fruit salad sounds so good right now. I might just, I can taste it in my mouth. It tastes like bananas. It tastes so good.
Here's an example of what to do. When you brainstorm, use whatever method works for you. A list of pros and cons, a web, a flowchart, or as in this case, a list of advantages and disadvantages. Then, categorize your ideas to develop a thesis. The thesis should contain a controlling idea and 3 major points that you can write body paragraphs on. Make sure your 3 major points are broad enough to develop well. Next, spend time organizing and developing your thoughts. When you start writing too quickly, your paper can seem too jumbled, off-topic, or repetitive. Organizing your paper ensures you don't start with something terrible, like this.
TV reminds me of my dad. He's fat and stuff, and he has a mustache. Anywho, TV's fun to watch, especially if you're fat. My favorite show is Hannah Montana.
If you're not like that guy, and you take the time to use an outline, you can develop your thoughts and make sure you have good supporting details, examples, and anecdotes. This is called depth of development, and it will help you score 5 on ideas. Then, when it's time to write your rough draft, you won't get as stuck. If outlines aren't for you, a tree map is a great option. Tree maps help to show categories and break down your topic. This will also help you develop ideas so that you have great supporting details. Remember, the bottom of the tree map should still relate to the very top, the controlling idea. I have some pondering to do. I think I'm going to hand it over to Miss Smith for a little bit.
Okay, well, let's go back to the outline for a second before we jump into the rough draft. For this particular paper, the prompt was expository and asked for the advantages and disadvantages of watching TV. At the beginning of the outline is your introduction. Start with a hook and give some general info to ease the reader into the topic. Think of some ways you could hook your reader. Any ideas? Also, make sure you place your thesis at the end of the introduction. In this case, the thesis is, when considering the value of television, it is important to consider time, influence, and money. Next, Next, you add the first point in your three-part thesis, which is time. First, start with a topic sentence that introduces the topic of the paragraph. Then, because the prompt asks for advantages and disadvantages, list both in your outline. Disadvantages include wasting time and the effects of that. Notice that number 2 on the outline elaborates the point on number 1. Advantages include that it helps pass the time when you're bored and can be entertaining while you're using time wisely. Notice the specific example being used, watching TV while cleaning your room. Let's continue on from there to see what else was listed in the outline. The third major point was influence. So the outline includes a topic sentence that reads, in addition to time, television has a lot of influence over people's life. You can see that there are disadvantages and advantages. One of the disadvantages being profanity. The next, violence. Here's a specific example to prove that television is a negative influence. After watching Power Rangers, kids tend to fight more than after they watch Barney. Advantages include that it can be educational and keep you up to date on current events. Also, notice the concluding sentence. The last part of the three-part thesis was money, and of course you need a topic sentence, followed by the advantages and disadvantages involving money. Finally, you're ready for the conclusion, which will always include a summary of the main points, being careful not to repeat ideas word for word, and something thoughtful to leave the reader with. In this case, the idea that we have the power to decide how to use our TVs, for good or for bad. Let's look at another important thing to remember while writing a rough draft, using transition words and phrases. Remember to use them frequently and to add a comma after the transition word or phrase.
I know the transitions are important, but I can't think of any right now. Oh, I remember dancing that song Miss Smitty showed me.
In addition, also, for example, although, however, finally, thus, consequently, tick-tock, time stops, and my writing's on top now. Whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh.
However, finally, thus, consequently.
Once you've written a banging rough draft, make sure you leave time to revise and edit. And make sure you rush through your final draft because that is the only thing that they count. Good luck on the MGWA. See you later, kids.
Hi, Scotty. A few more things before we stop. When revising your rough draft, take the time to think of all you have learned and all the hard work you've done. You know how to succeed. Therefore, add those finishing touches that will make you exceed. Did you use enough transition phrases? Did you share personal examples? Did you explain yourself thoroughly? Is your introduction interesting enough? Does the conclusion summarize and end with something thoughtful? Also, when you edit, make sure everything makes sense.
Listen to what she says. She's a very, very smart lady.
How do you think you did on the MGWA?
I think I did good.
Cool. Cool.
How about you?
Well, it kind of felt like I was hanging from a chandelier in a leotard, a purple leotard, eating a Reuben, Reuben sandwich. It was exhilarating yet filling, and I knew exactly what I was doing. By the way, I'm sorry earlier for that freak out. I didn't mean to, scare you or anything.
Wake up in the morning feeling like Miss Smitty. Grab my pencil, gonna write like I own this city. Before I write, grab my list out of my backpack, cause when I use transition words, they keep my flow intact.
When I contrast, I use even. So on the other hand, and although, however, still and even though.
To compare, I use similarly. Likewise, subsequently, I use transitions proudly. In addition, also, for example, although, however, finally, thus, consequently, tick-tock, time stops, and my writing's on top, and now, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh. In addition, also, for example, although, however, finally, thus, consequently, tick-tock, time stops, and my writing's on top, and now, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh.
Yeah.